Jumping back into Too Tall Toby, 240503, and we've got some symmetry and a tapered hole on this one. So let's jump in. All right, so we are in grams. This one is gonna be alloy. Let's see here. There we go. And let's go. All right, so I'm gonna start my sketch on the, I'm gonna extrude on the front view. And I'm gonna make this as thick and sketch. I'm gonna do that, and then a center point arc. And let's get that dimension of 40. So that's kind of one of our main geometries. So what I'm doing here is I'm sketching for half of this, the inside, and then I'm gonna thicken, do some of the stuff on the end, and then mirror it. All right, so grab this point and this line. Try that again. End point, line, and this is going to be 180 divided by 2. And we'll grab a fillet corner. Actually, I don't want we'll do a circular trim right there. Okay. And change this dimension to be that 26. Okay. So it's going to say it'll be switched to a surface. I honestly, Creo, if you want suggestions, I would stop doing that. The thicken sketch is a great option. Maybe I would say you're going to turn it into a thicken. Anyway, we'll add a wall thickness of 16. We want to make sure that this is going away from the top plane. I do want it to be symmetric with a depth of 80. Okay. All right, let's get this geometry on before we mirror that. So we'll grab some edges. And those do have a round of 15. So I held down Control to get them both in one set. And then we'll extrude the notch. So I'm going to drop a circle on this reference. Now, for some reason, it's not picking up this reference. And there's a bunch of ways to kind of go about this. But one of them is to hold down the Alt key and then click on a reference or on anything, and it'll become a reference. So even though it wasn't picking it up as a reference, I can still add that as a reference if that's what I need. All right, we're going to trim some of this out. We're going to give the overall height of that notch is 18. And the depth is shown here as the 161. So we're going to dimension from the center point to the vertical reference, and that's going to be 161 divided by 2. All right, so we'll flip that, make sure we're removing material to next. And that is the geometry we need for that kind of shape. So we're going to take the entire part and mirror the entire part over the right plane. All right, if I hit Control D, you can see that it is going in the right orientation. So we need to make the circle on the bottom. I'm going to extrude, but the plane I'm going to extrude from doesn't exist yet. I'm going to make the plane start at the bottom here. So add a new plane that will offset from the top reference. We'll flip it the other way. So it's going to be 85 below the top plane. Go resume that extrude, and it brings me up on the proper side. And I can just start with the overall diameter, which is shown here as 65. Okay. I gotta think this is one of my first times working with this color. I'm not sure how I feel about this color as I'm modeling, but anyway, we're gonna drag it down, and I want that depth to be to next. So I want it to stop when it hits the pink part Okay. And then this hole that goes through here, we've got kind of a counterboard shape and then this tapered hole. I'm going to do that as an extrude instead of a hole. And just for fun, I'll switch to the concentric circle so that picks up the center. Concentric circle will keep making circles, so middle click to finish that, middle click to be able to modify my dimension. And this is 50 degree, or sorry, diameter 50. Okay. We're going to flip it the other direction. We do want to remove material, but only for a depth of 12. And now we're going to extrude. We're going to do some very similar stuff. We're going to, another concentric circle, middle click to finish, middle click to modify the dimension. 32 is my diameter. All right, so this one, I'm going to click and flip and all that fun stuff. We are removing material. I want this one to go all the way through, but under options, I want to add a taper. Okay, so the taper has this little dragger, and I do want to kind of see what's happening, like which way the angle's going. So we want it to come in and have a smaller hole at the bottom. It gives me an angle of 12. If I were to make that 12, that would be too deep of an angle. To get the 12, we need 6 on each side. Okay. And you know what? Let's just double check that. It is an interesting shape. So let's look normal to that surface. And let's show wireframe. Okay. So that's looking pretty good. This is a good check, though, that I'm missing that circle, but that just confirms that angle's probably right. Okay. We're going to add a hole onto that geometry. One of my offset references is going to be the right plane, and then the other one is the bottom of the part. We are angled off of the right plane with 0, and we are 20 up. Our diameter is 11, and the depth is all the way through. Okay. So that is looking pretty great. Let's see how we did. We're going to try here, 852, and we got it. Fantastic. All right, so let's see what's new and exciting here. Thick and extrude. Holding down Alt to grab a reference on the fly. Using the View Normal To option to look at a side of a part, and then looking at some of these different options for our view styles. If you got really good at those, Control 6 is your, oh, that's not working while I have the camera up, but that's all right. Oh, again, I have axes turned on for my rounds, so that's why I have more axes than most people. Anyway, hope that helps. We'll see you again soon.